Hey, what's up, family? How's it going? Hope you had a wonderful Friday. Hey, here in Michigan, in southeast Michigan, it actually snowed for the first time. Luckily for me, I had the day off. I'm taking Fridays for the rest of the year off, and I could not be more excited. I mean, it's already the end of 2018. It's just crazy that it's come so far and that many of us are still alive, hopefully still in our right minds. But yeah, wanted to focus on some cool news, some interesting things today. Again, I didn't really focus on too much of the news. Lately, it's been dominated by the wildfires out in California, um, which just are just crazy out there. Absolutely crazy. I mean, one fact that I saw, they said it's moving at a rate of 18 football fields being engulfed by fire per minute. That's just hard for me to fathom. 18 football fields is crazy. So, and they have it zero contained. It's this fire is not contained at all. And apparently there's two fires, I believe. So just crazy. My heart and prayers and thoughts go out to the folks that are dealing with that, and I guess LA and surrounding areas. Just ridiculous. So anyway, the stories that I did want to focus on, the stories that are in this title. This first one is about this flight attendant. I don't know if you've heard about her. It's Philippine Airlines flight attendant. Her name is Patricia Organo, and she's being praised after a viral Facebook post. I'm guessing that she shared went viral, and so basically saying that she offered this mother to help feed this mother's crying baby. She says herself, after takeoff, I heard an infant's cry, a cry that will make you want to do anything to help. I approached the mother and asked if everything's okay. I tried to tell her to feed her hungry child. Teary-eyed, she looked at me and said she ran out of formula milk. Now, I, as a father of two, my wife would never, ever let that happen. But we don't know this lady's circumstances. Maybe she spilled the milk somewhere. Maybe the baby was just especially hungry. Maybe they've been on some long flights already and she maybe just underestimated. Who knows? But my goodness, when you talk about people being in the right place at the right time, Patricia Organo is certainly that person. Her post received over 145,000 likes. This is her basically breastfeeding this young baby. It's got over 6,000 comments and has been shared nearly 30,000 times. In the post, she said, yesterday I was scheduled for a check flight to be qualified as a cabin crew evaluator. I thought that this flight's gonna be so special, as this is a big step on my flying career. Everything went smoothly until takeoff. I heard an infant's cry. Cried out, make you want to do anything to help. I approached the mother, and basically that's what happened. So she explained that her and the mother went to a private area of the plane to feed the baby, and the baby started rooting. The baby was so hungry, she wrote. I saw the relief on the mother's eyes. I continued to feed the baby until she fell asleep. Just what a great story. I escorted her back to her seat, and just before I left, the mother sincerely thanked me, Organo said. Organo told Yahoo that she has a 9-month-old at home, a 9-month-old daughter of her own, so she recognizes the difference between a cry of hunger, a cry of sleepiness, or a cry of something else. So, Patricia Organo, I just wanted to give you a huge shout out. And to your husband as well, who, if he had not impregnated you, you wouldn't have the child and you wouldn't be able to breastfeed this child. Because again, you have to actually have a child. I haven't heard anyone being able to breastfeed a child without actually having had a child recently themselves. If you are capable of that, then you should probably let someone know so that we can study you further. So again, really cool story. The next story that I wanted to talk about is good old Billy Gates. I don't know if you guys can see his yeah, you can see that. So Bill Gates, you guys know that November 19th is World Toilet Day? I had no idea until this year. And Bill Gates is like seriously getting in on this shit. Like, no pun intended, but pun intended. Reinvented Toilet Expo happened November 6th in Beijing, because that's what they do in China. And that is a jar of poop that he brought up on stage. Human fecal matter. And so this article I'm reading is from NPR. It's a quite lengthy article. But it's basically, here are the facts. According to the World Health Organization, more than 4.5 billion people, that's half the world's population, do not have access to toilets where waste is treated and disposed of safely. They might have latrines, they might have outhouses, but the waste isn't disposed of safely. When human waste is poorly managed, pathogens can seep into the environment, causing diseases like diarrhea, cholera, and typhoid. 4.5 billion people can be exposed to that easily. And that's pretty crazy, because when you think about it, most of you who are watching this video or who have access to the internet, you probably have access to a toilet that is connected to a whole system of pipes that go to a waste treatment and filtration and all that. You have all that. And then this small jar of poop here that Gates had, he said it could contain as many as 200 trillion rotavirus cells, 20 billion Shigella bacteria, and 100,000 parasitic worm eggs. It could. I hope that's not his poop. So yeah, Bill Gates really wants to take this on. We visited communities where children were playing in lanes filled with human waste, where the stench of community toilets was so bad that people didn't want to use them. I mean, just think about Coachella toilets and just magnify that by 10 million, and that's probably what you'd be dealing with. Not that I've been to Coachella, but it's an outdoor festival. Just just think of any porta potty or porta john, whatever you call it, and the just decrepit smell that can come from those things, and just magnify it by 10 million. And that's probably what 4.5 billion people around the world that don't have access to proper sanitation have to deal with. So back in 2011, Gates Foundation launched the Reinvent the Toilet Challenge, calling on scientists, universities, and companies to come up with a toilet that didn't require a sewer system to dispose safely of human waste. And the foundation has since contributed $200 million to research and development. You talk about someone, as rich as Bill Gates. He can literally just throw money at anything, and he's chosen this. The result was 2 floors of sanitation solutions on display for the first time together in Beijing. There were 20 exhibitors, and they ranged between 2 categories, basically reinventing toilets, household toilets built with built-in waste processors and omniprocessors, commercial grade, and waste treatment centers. But just really cool, everything that this guy is doing. Bill Gates. I've always admired what Bill Gates has been doing, and I really do hope that this toilet revolution really does take off. President Xi Jinping in China declared a toilet revolution back in 2015. He called on local governments to improve sanitation in an effort to attract more tourism, saying a bad toilet landscape had marred China's image. So there's definitely money to be made in this. Again, if you have I think somewhere said like a $6 billion industry. According to Gates, the reinvented toilet market could generate $6 billion a year worldwide. So, it's not that Bill Gates is just throwing money at this, but if you're investing $200 million and you could stand to make $6 billion, hey, that's a big return on investment, I would say. Not to mention, again, as Japan or China, as China's prime minister or president has said, this could also boost countries' tourism. If you have places that you don't have to worry about getting cholera, typhoid, or whatever the other thing was, you're probably going to want to travel to those places because, hey, they have, easily accessible toilets. You think about some of the things that we live with on a day-to-day basis. Now other places might have them as well. It's a huge revolution, and it really needs to happen. It's the same with the whole renewable energy revolution. You think about a lot of these countries that can just completely leapfrog technologies. They go straight from having no power to running off of renewable power. And now you can talk about, the same thing, having a toilet that doesn't need to be tied to some sort of big infrastructure, mainframe, central hub. And you can have communities pretty much anywhere running off of solar, renewable, wind, whatever energy, and have waste treatment facilities right and their house. That's pretty much all you need. And then access to food. That's the next big thing, is the food crisis happening all over the world. So this, it was a pretty cool story to me. Let's talk about one more thing. So we have this old fogey here next to this AI, this robot, and as we've seen recently, the allure of sex robots. I've got gum in my mouth, so excuse me. It's like disintegrating. It's disgusting. The allure of robots being used as sex partners in lieu of human beings is really starting to take off. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was this article from the Next Web, which says it's titled "How AI Will Make the World Safer for Sex Workers and Their Clients." Cue some sexy music for me. Anyway, I just wanted to get to this point because this is the part that scares me, because I work at a car company and we are doing pretty cool stuff in the autonomous area, trying to build autonomous vehicles and things like that. And then here's this article from the Next Web. A recent study conducted by researchers from the University of Surrey and the University of Oxford predicts that autonomous cars will usher in a new era of urban tourism and a new paradigm for sex workers. Excuse me for a moment while I puke in my mouth, because how did this study link those two things together? In the following quote from the Chemes paper, "Autonomous Vehicles and the Future of Urban Tourism," the acronym SCAV refers to a business, that's SCAV, refers to a business-operated driverless vehicle, while CAV refers to a privately owned one. And they say, while SCAVs will likely be monitored to deter passengers having sex or using drugs in them and to prevent violence, such surveillance may be rapidly overcome, disabled, or removed. Moreover, personal CAVs will likely be immune from such surveillance. Such private CAVs may also be put to commercial use, as it is just a small leap to imagine Amsterdam's red light district on the move. And so one reason why is because they could provide a safe place for people to be alone in public. And then it gives that, the current paradigm for sex workers typically involves one of six models. There's the sex worker who meets a client at a brothel. There's a sex worker who takes or meets the client to or at a motel or a hotel. There is the sex worker who gets in a client's car, a sex worker who goes to the client's home, the client who goes to the sex worker's home, or a sex worker and client obscure themselves in public. Basically, they just have at it in some corner or some dark alley. These are problematic, the article goes on, in some way for either the client or the sex worker. In countries where sex work is legal, it's still typically a crime to perform sex acts in public and in vehicles, and there are obvious reasons why sex workers shouldn't visit clients' homes under most circumstances or allow them to visit theirs. Furthermore, for clients who value their privacy, being caught at a brothel may be a risk they're unwilling to take. Driverless cars provide a solution. And again, I puke in my mouth because I do not want to think, it's one thing. Okay, we all know that, people have sex in their cars. It's one of those really hot fantasies that you see in movies. We got, this couple here, you can barely see them. Maybe if I block the light, let's turn off the light. You see that's them. We see that in movies all the time. In the dark of the night, maybe sometimes even in broad daylight. People getting it on, doing a freaky freak in the back seat. Ludacris made it popular with his song, "I Wanna Lick It From Your Head to," in the back seat of an Escalator, whatever it was. So we know people do this with our products. But to do it in an autonomous vehicle that could be rolling down the street, and then you get dropped off and then it picks someone else up, and I have a problem with this. I have a serious problem with this. It's like, no, this isn't what autonomous vehicles are going to be used for. How can you do this to us? So basically it says, if humans aren't necessary for the operation of the vehicle, it shouldn't matter what they're doing inside. This, of course, conjures up images of hundreds of cars with blackened windows screaming up and down the Autobahn as people endeavor to become members of the 300-kilometer-per-hour club. Ah. Ultimately, both the non-participating public and those engaging in sex work could benefit from a paradigm that keeps prostitutes out of seedy motels and off the sidewalks by putting them on the streets, inside warm cars, full of security features and snacks. And I'm done reading this article. Anyway, it says, it may sound like a shocking idea to pearl clutchers and Bible thumpers, which I'm not either of those. I'm just someone who cares about not having sex in an autonomous car driving down the street. Like this, no. Just no. Why would anyone... People think of the most craziest things. And unless you believe they only serve one or two clients apiece, and you'd be silly if you did, we're talking about hundreds of millions and not billions of people who this affects. So it's, the 4.5 billion people that don't have access to, a toilet. This isn't for them. This is for the other 4.5 billion people that, don't care to be sanitary or clean at all and are just going to jump into a car that, was just used by someone else and have sex in it and then get out and let someone else. Ugh. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this story, because this just disgusts me on an entirely new level. Please don't use autonomous vehicles for your sexual enjoyment. Please just use it to get from point A to point B and not to have a baby. Anyway, that's all I've got for you folks today. I leave you with this wonderful image. But please, have fun. Be safe out there. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace out.